Hi, how's it going? So I'm just taking a break from uploading my psychic reading videos. The last couple of days have been a fucking mess. To be for real, for real. First off, I have to say rest in peace to Angie Stone. Not the best human being, but her music was certainly popping, and that voice was so good, so beautiful. She had such a rich, smoky voice that I absolutely loved. Like, me being a mezzo soprano, um, I tend to really gravitate towards more extreme voices. So either really high voices or really low voices. And I think Angie was a mezzo like me, but she was kind of on the lower end. And I was just so fascinated with her voice and the way that she sang. She didn't struggle. She wasn't a power singer. She had a powerful voice. Let's not get that shit twisted for a second. But she wasn't a power singer, which means it was really about the soul of her voice. It was never about how high she could sing. It was never about the runs. And even when she did her runs, they came so naturally and so easily. It was just so beautiful to listen to. And, there was such an authenticity about her that, it was unmistakably, it dripped of like the place she came from. It dripped of, I think it's South Carolina she came from. It dripped of where she came from. It dripped of, what she grew up around, like the culture, and then at the same time, when you listen to her in interviews, even though she talked about, black pride and especially in black men, she was still so generous to like everybody. I remember this interview she did where somebody tried to compare Justin Timberlake to Usher, and she just wasn't having it. Like, in my mind, right, it's a bit of a useless comparison now given like everything that came out. But at the time, it was, there was a backlash against Timberlake, and it was him being compared with Usher. And Angie was just refusing to answer the question. And she was like, are you serious? Like, these are my fucking friends, bro. She didn't say fucking friends, but these are my friends. I don't talk about things like that. I don't engage in things like that. So there was still such a spirit of generosity about this woman. Even though I've heard some stories and I heard she wasn't the best person, and I believe it, but if there are certain instances where the generosity of her character, it showed in her voice. And it was that authenticity that showed in her voice. And on top of that, whoever was producing for that woman, whoever was playing instruments for her, I've got to look up those instrumentalists and those producers, because some part of them must have loved working with her, because the production on her music, and in particular Mahogany Soul, the album that we're all familiar with, it was just so rich and so crisp at the same time. And it was, there are some tracks on that album that are just severely underrated. One of them is Snow. You've got to listen to Snow. It's so good. And it's just, the lyrics are not artful. They're very blunt. They're very blunt and they're very forthright, but it's just sung with such a sincerity and such a passion that you can't help but be mesmerized by everything that she's bringing to the table. Again, just look up Mahogany Soul, look up her album. The lyrics are not going to blow you away, but the music and the soul and the passion that she delivered, that she brought to the table, it cannot be underestimated. And she probably has no idea how many people she inspired. She probably has no idea, but she inspired me. And I'm going to take the lessons that her vocals have taught me. I'm going to take that with me and take that on board and find a way to use that in my own life. So rest in peace, Angie Stone. I'm sorry that my, I don't know, I'm sorry that my little speech wasn't great, but it was how I felt about Angie and her music. And yeah, rest in peace to her. My condolences go out to her family and, all those who loved her. So yeah, she was an inspiration. So that's the first part of this video over with. The second part I don't even want to talk about because I'm so disgusted. Now, whatever you think about Zelensky, whatever has ever come out about, I think it's President Zelensky or Prime Minister Zelensky of the Ukraine, whatever you think of him, there is no denying that he really held his own and he really proved like who the superior leader was in his meeting with Trump in the Oval Office. He really proved that he was a superior leader to the fucking orange baboon sitting across from him. And not to mention JD Vance, who got his Madame Two Swords waxwork statue looking ass in the mix. Just fucking like shouting over him and screaming over him, like basically making threats that if you don't, as a Ukrainian president, if you don't essentially make yourself a tributary leader in your own country and give us all the resources that we want, then we're not going to help you. We're not going to help you against a country that has no business invading you. And rest assured, that was absolutely for the benefit of Vladimir Putin. Now, I'm going to take this in another direction. I'm going to take this in a direction that nobody really thought of before. What World War III is about, what this whole thing is about, is Africa. Africa, even after being plundered of all her resources, still remains the richest continent on the planet for natural resources. China has business in Africa. Israel has business in Africa. The UK has business in Africa. There are a lot of the richest countries in the world have business in Africa, including China and including Russia. Now, the Ukraine, their Black Sea ports are arguably the most important ports, like globally, because it's arguably their ports that are the easiest for the rest of the world to access and the rest of the world to trade from. Where if you trade from the Ukraine, you can pretty much access every other port in the world from there. And what Ukraine wanted to do was create grain hubs in Africa. They wanted to create hubs in Africa. Who has business in Africa? Russia. Who also has paid trolls in Nigeria, in Africa in general, but in Nigeria in particular, allegedly? Trump. So you've got Russia who has business in Africa. They've already been talking to world leaders. So what they're actually trying to do is they're trying to annex Ukraine to stop Ukraine from becoming a threat. This has nothing to do with restoring Russia to its former glory. And it has everything to do with annexing as much African resources as possible. And as for Elon fucking Musk, let me get to him in a second, actually. First of all, I've got to talk about the UK. I've got to talk about the UK because I've got to talk about the connection with Prince William and Priti Patel. Prince William once talked about having healthcare in Africa, and usually when the elites talk about increasing healthcare in Africa, they're not actually talking about healthcare, they're talking about depopulation. Bill Gates said the same thing. Introducing healthcare to Africa. It's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, African people might get access to healthcare that have been long denied to them, but on the other side of things, they might also be subjects of unlawful testing as well. Now, don't quote me on this. This is just conjecture on my part, all right? But both Prince William and Bill Gates have talked about bringing healthcare to Africa, and we all know that's a double-edged sword. It means that African people are going to get access to healthcare that they don't ordinarily have access to. But at the same time, just like African Americans have been tested on by eugenicists, the same thing is very likely to happen to African people. We already had African people being bombarded with ultrasound beam technology over there and directed energy weapons over there. There's somebody that I'm close to that was right there when those weapons were being used. Okay? So this is all about Africa and annexing Africa's resources and making sure Africa is safe and habitable enough for white and brown people to live in. So it's about annexing the resources and also annexing the land that belongs to the indigenous peoples of Africa. That is what this is all about. It is all about Africa. And speaking, I think it was either Priti Patel or Suella Braverman. It could have been both of those bitches. They wanted to send like immigrants to Rwanda, meaning they wanted to send free fucking labor or free fucking human resources to fucking Rwanda, Africa, the next superpower. That is what this is all about. All of this is about Africa. All of this is about a land grab to get as many African resources as possible. That's what this whole fucking thing is about. And when it comes to Russia annexing the Ukraine, all this bullshit about protecting borders, that's bullshit. That's not why Ukrainians are being killed. That's not why this is happening. The reason this is happening is because of the Black Sea ports. When it comes to these wars, you've got to follow the money. Now, Trump has made his allegiance with Putin. Now, I personally believe he made his allegiance with Putin, not necessarily because of the money, not necessarily because like Putin has some special, you know, him and Putin genuinely have some special relationship. You have to remember Putin is ex-KGB. He understands psychology better than the average person. He might operate like a gangster, but he understands human psychology better than the average person. And I believe he's got Trump wrapped around his little finger. Putin could be flat broke and losing this war. I believe Trump would still support him because Putin knows what to say. Of course, Putin is a very scary man. All right. He's very scary. He's intimidating as fuck. All right. He's probably left a trail of broken bones and dead bodies in his fucking wake. Okay. There are a lot of things that I can say on camera about Putin that please believe me, I would never say to that motherfucker's face ever. And you know me, I don't back down from a fight. But there are certain things that I've said online about him I would never say to his face. I would never be that fucking stupid. Man is ex-KGB and he's the president of, you know, and he's not the president, prime minister of Russia, president of Russia. I think it's prime minister of Russia. Yeah. I ain't messing with that. Are you fucking crazy? So he's a very scary man. So I think there might be the fear factor with Trump, but also I think Putin knows how to work him. He knows how to talk to him. He knows how to make him feel good, make him feel special, make him feel valued. And this is the thing about people like Trump, right? I'm about to bring up Blake. Hold on. I'm about to bring up Blake Lively in a minute. Just as an example, got Blake Lively and you got Trump. People like them have powerful friends. And what they believe is that they're leading those powerful friends, that they are influencing those powerful friends. But what's actually going on is that those powerful friends are leading them, puppeteering them. This is what I believe is happening, not only with Elon Musk, but also with Putin. Putin is puppeteering him and making Trump feel like he's the powerful one in the equation. I think that's what their relationship is based on. I think, again, Putin knows how to work people. You don't get to the level that he is without knowing how to work people. And be aware of somebody who lives a long time in professions where people die young. Putin is 72 years old. You don't get to the age of 72 as an ex-KGB member without knowing a little something about something. He knows how to work people. So that's what I think is responsible for this relationship between Trump and Putin. I do not think it's because Putin has actual leverage here. I mean, he does. Russia is independently wealthy because they've got natural resources as well as like newly found capitalism. So they've got both on their side, but then so did America. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. So I think that's why Trump is holding on so tightly to Putin, because, Russia's an emerging superpower, and Putin knows how to work Trump. He knows how to make him feel good about himself. So I think that's what the relationship is. But Putin is working him. Everybody knows that, and everybody can see that. So I feel like, coming back to Africa, that is what this whole thing is about. That's what World War III is about. It was never, I thought it was about Israel. I thought it was about Israel and Palestine. But Israel and Palestine, even that struggle, that's about annexing Africa. That's about annexing Africa and the natural resources of Africa. That is ultimately what World War III is going to be about. And like I said before, it's not going to happen with nuclear warfare. That's not happening. I thought it would be, but it's not happening. It's going to happen with a lot of broken bones. It's going to happen with a lot of civil struggles. It's going to happen with a lot of divisions. But World War III is ultimately about Africa. Everybody's been talking about Africa and nobody noticed. And that's by design. That is entirely by design. And speaking of Elon fucking Musk, he's had his beady little eyes all over fucking, not only US politics, but UK politics now. He's been keeping an eye on Farage and the Reform Party. Now, bear in mind, Labour won over here, but that was only because the turnout was so low, it barely counted as an election. And on top of that, on top of the low turnout, Reform voters had their highest turnout. So the disillusionment of British people was literally exploited so that the right wing could sneak their politics in. The Reform Party had the highest votes. And during out of any right wing group, they had the highest votes so far. Like during the time of Labour's win. I feel like the Conservatives wanted Labour to win and not Reform. That's what I think. But where Reform is concerned, Elon Musk has got his eye on Reform too. Now remember, allegedly, Elon Musk helped Trump win through rigging the votes. So what is to say that if Nigel Farage chooses to unite with Elon Musk, that the same thing won't happen again and that Elon Musk won't rig the votes so that Reform will win? When I tell you, if Reform ever gets into office, healthcare is going down the shitter. Rural, agricultural trade is going down the shitter. Global trade is going down the shitter. Everything is going down the fucking shitter. The second Reform get into office, everything is going to go downhill because their whole thing is going to be about either we make black and brown people grateful peasants or we get them out of the country. That will send the economy of the country plummeting. That will send the economy of the country plummeting. It will be a direct enshittification of goods, of services. If you think things are bad now, let Reform get into power and you'll see what bad is. You'll see what bad is. And everything that Elon is doing, everything that Elon is working on is to get back to Africa. Elon, take your ass back to Africa. Maybe that's the plan. That's the fucking plan. All these countries are fighting over Africa and fighting over resources in Africa. What makes you think Elon's not trying to get back there? Only he wants to come back there as a conqueror and not an exile. That's his plan. I bet you that is that man's plan. He wants to come back to Africa as a conqueror and not an exile. That is his fucking plan. And again, gang stalkers, I don't care whether you're black, white, or brown. You made this happen. You made all of this happen. And there are some of you who are not going to care, and I get that. I get that. Like, nobody's going to get anywhere by trying to make you care about shit. We already established that you don't give a fuck about anything except causing pain. But you have brought all of this to fruition. Every single thing that's been going wrong in the country is because of you. People are dropping like flies because of you. Like I said. All of this is because of gang stalking. You think people aren't gerrymandering, targeting, using gang stalking? That's exactly what they've been doing. And Trump is the biggest gang stalker. He doesn't even hide it. So yes, all of this is about Africa and annexing the resources in Africa. That's what all of this is about. That's why people are dying. That's why wars are raging everywhere. It's because the white man still isn't done with Africa. Not by a long shot. And now brown people are not done with Africa either. And then there are those people who, those Asians who came from Africa. I think Priti Patel was Ugandan, I think. I'm not sure. It's either Priti Patel or Suella Braverman. No, I think it's Priti Patel that came from Uganda, or her parents came from Uganda. The exiles that were kicked out of Africa, they want revenge, boy. And they're getting it through the annexing of resources in Africa. And that's what I believe they want. But in this desperate grab for land, things are only going to get worse globally. And when it comes to Trump talking about the fact that he wants to take over Canada and he wants to take over Greenland and he wants to take over this country and that country and make land grabs, he seems to think that this is the art of the fucking deal, that he can just bluster his way into getting massive bank loans to do dumb shit. That's what he seems to think this is. He seems to think this is a fucking game. But this is politics. It's a whole different animal. Everything is trade, don't get me wrong, but politics is a different kind of trade. You're not going to get away with just riling everybody up and saying that I'm going to take over this, I'm going to take over this. No, you ain't. Canada will put its boot up your ass in quick time. Only it's not going to be you that pays for it, Trump. It's going to be all the people that fucking voted for you. All your saber rattling has ever done is fucking ensure that it's your supporters that catch static. That's all it's ever done. That's all you've ever done, is get your supporters in trouble. You know what I mean? That's all you've ever done, is just get your fucking supporters in trouble. That's it. But yeah, Africa, that's the main reason all of this is happening. And again, when it comes to the Ukraine versus Russia, I don't have a dog in that fight because they're both shitty to black people. I don't care. But one thing I will say is that Zelensky held his own like a world leader is supposed to. And by the way, he's right. He's saying, oh, you'll feel it. Yes, they will. Yes, they will, Zelensky. Yes, they will feel it. They will feel the effects that this like lack of diplomacy, they will feel the effects of it. You're 100% right. And the effects of this war and the effects of the Ukrainian ports being annexed, or the attempts of Russia to annex their ports, that's going to be felt big time, globally, and especially by America. So he's right. He's not wrong. You know what I mean? He's not wrong at all. When I said the last couple of days were a shitstorm, sure. And speaking of shitstorms, I thought I'd want to talk about them, but now that I'm on this camera, like having to talk about them is just so boring to me. It's just so tedious now. What I'm starting to understand about gang stalking and about gang stalkers is that they literally do not want you to have anything. They don't want you to have anything. They don't want you to have a goddamn thing on your own terms. Like for instance, this hexing thing. I'm bored even talking about this. I'm just bored talking about hexes. I'm bored. But I have to say it because I have to illustrate to you guys, you know, how much gang stalkers just do not want you to be happy. Because this whole tarot business, it wasn't just about me. My mum loved getting readings from me. So it's like when I do these things, I'm carrying on something that she loved as well. And I didn't want to talk about this. It makes me feel bad to talk about it. But essentially they wanted to fuck with something that not only that I enjoyed, but members of my family enjoyed, just so that they could feel like they were getting to me. And it's magic as well. This is the thing, like I said before, they could have created hexes against the gang stalkers. Because what the fuck are the gang stalkers going to do if you create hexes? A lot of them don't believe in it. So what the fuck are they going to do? You could have created hexes against the gang stalkers so they don't make you miserable anymore and they don't make you do awful things. You could have performed hexes against them. You could have protected targeted individuals. You could have protected white targeted individuals. There are so many things you could have done and you chose not to do it. Instead, what you wanted to do was to try to take away something from me that is essentially a legacy of a person who was murdered by gang stalking. You don't want me to have shit. That's what this is about. I'm bored of talking about fucking hexes. And the reason why I'm bored with it is because these people are not the only ones who have done it. There was, no joke, there was another person in London who wanted to curse my womb. I can't even say it. They wanted to curse my womb to have I can't even say it. It's so disgusting. And they wanted to do that just to win a Twitter argument. What? That's how hateful these fucking people are. So just because I won a Twitter argument, they literally went to a witch to try to get my soul cursed and try to get any children that I had cursed to die early. That's why I'm bored talking about this shit, because these people are just not serious. You could literally have magic, use magic for any other purpose. You could have used it to free yourselves from gang stalking and to make sure that not only targeted individuals got freed from gang stalking, but perps too. Even though, truth be told, if you free T.I.s, you free perps, but I'm getting ahead of myself. You could have used your magic to protect, to protect yourselves, to protect your families from the people who are telling you to do this. You could have used magic to protect your communities. You could have used magic to protect the people that meant the most to you from the people giving you these orders and making your life a misery. You could have done that, but instead you chose to use magic, something that you have to borrow energy for, to make me unhappy. That's how deep your hatred goes for me, because you're scared of black people. That's ridiculous. Now, the person who tried to curse my reproductive system and my soul, and by the way, I think this person's talked about doing that, but a different part of my reproductive system. But this just goes to show the misery, the abject misery of these people. It just goes to show how miserable gang stalkers are. They don't want you to have shit. Like, literally, this is after the gang stalkers killed my mother and probably killed other people in my family. It doesn't matter how many bodies drop. in my bloodline. It doesn't matter how many tears I cry. It doesn't matter how debilitated I am. It doesn't matter how miserable I am. It doesn't matter if I'm alive or dead. It doesn't matter what's going on with me, whether I'm sick or well, whether I have shit or not. It doesn't matter. The gang stalkers will never be happy. They will never be satisfied. There will always be a chasm, a void of misery. And that is all they will ever have. That's the only comfort I can get from this situation. The only comfort I can get is that no matter what is being done to targeted individuals, the gang stalkers will never be happy. They will always be miserable. And and bodies have been dropping on their account. Babies have been killed on their account, by the way. How many children do you think died in the womb? How many T.I. kids do you think died in the fucking womb? How many T.I.s do you reckon have been hexed? How many T.I.s do you reckon have been magically, magically attacked or spiritually attacked? How many? It ain't just me, mate. And I've been sectioned before as well. It still wasn't enough for the gang stalkers. Nothing is ever enough. If I have a home, it's not enough. If I don't have a home, it's not enough. There's literally one gang stalker that I know that tried to kill themselves. And the gang stalkers fucking revived him. That is how miserable these people are. That is how recklessly hateful gang stalking actually is. I didn't even want to talk about the hexes and curses because it's not even traumatic. It's just I don't want to call that energy into my life, but I have to talk about this because you have to understand, if you're a targeted individual or you're a non-TI but you're not a perp, you have to understand how hateful these people are, because this is a result of what happens when you get the kind of power because this is the result of constantly wanting what you don't have or constantly wanting what you don't know you want when you keep getting what you don't deserve. Now, targeting is a really extreme version of what happens with marginalized people. It's expected that if you're a marginalized person, that you're supposed to just sit there and accept being trafficked and accept being abused and accept all the rest of it. You're supposed to just accept these things. But then when you actually start to accept it, when you don't say anything, when you keep quiet, when you hold your corner, right? It's when you don't say these things, when you don't say anything, when you do exactly what they want you to do, which is, in essence, do nothing, they're still not happy. That's what happens when you are born with power that you don't deserve, with power that you didn't earn, with power that you didn't fight for. That's what happens when you're born with privilege that you didn't fucking earn. Nothing makes you happy. Because you're wondering why people who have less than you, like me as a TI, these people have still got their family. They still got their mothers, they still got their fathers. I live away from my family. I don't have my family around it. Do you see anybody around me? No. I barely have any friends here. But because I have less than them, in their minds, I'm supposed to be less happy than them. But that's not how it's turned out. And that's why I've been attacked by these people for years. That's why they've spent the last couple of weeks trying to get a rise out of me. It's because I have less than them, technically. I have less than them. I'm supposed to have nothing. They're thinking that if I have less than them, or if I'm a TI, or if I'm the one who's, being subjected to racism everywhere, that I'm supposed to be miserable. That's how they feel like it's supposed to work. But because it doesn't work like that, now they're going crazy. Now nothing's ever good enough for them because they got privilege and the benefit of the doubt that they did not fucking deserve. That's what happens. That's what happens. That's what happens when you get what you get the privilege you don't deserve. This one here, like one particular person up here, had people willing to section somebody else for them, willing to psychiatrically traffic somebody for them. It still wasn't enough. As they were so keen to remind me several times, my mother is dead. They love to play that card. The gang stalkers love to play that card. We killed your mother. We killed your mother and we gave these dickheads the tools to remind you. They're still not happy. I've cried and I've grieved and I've done my readings for a person that, the only person that's one of the few people that spoke up for me when I was being sectioned. Gone. And yet they're more miserable than me when they have everything. It just goes to show they have everything and they didn't deserve it at all. It just goes to show that, because why are they still coming after me? I have less than they do. And I know that gang stalkers are talking about maybe coming into my house and taking stuff. Not them, but gang stalkers in their ear. Take something else. See if she'll react. See if she'll go crazy. Take something else. I already have nothing. I already don't have, I have a boyfriend. But even then, that boyfriend is being bombarded with electronic weapons day in, day fucking out, to the point where he can't think. And truth be told, I don't even know where we are like that. I don't know what's going on with us like that. So I've got that to deal with, and he's got that to deal with. I don't have lovers. I don't have friends like a lot of the friends that I have. I'm pretty sure are trying to infiltrate me. I don't have friends like that. But because I'm too strong for them, because this is not how it's supposed to work. I have more. I'm supposed to be happier. Ask billionaires how happy they are. They're fucking bored. That's where privilege gets you. You're bored. You're not grateful for anything. Why do you think they're trying to take over Africa now, even though they've been fucking plundering it? Because they're fucking bored. They already have more money than God. What more do they need? And it's the exact same with privileged people. They're bored as shit and they feel trapped by all the things that they get that they don't deserve. So they come after people who have less than they do and seem to be happier. Remember, all of this persecution against me by these people in particular started with a laugh. It started with a laugh. I never thought it would go this far. Ding, 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 ding. It started with a laugh. Oh no, I never thought it would go this far. You don't remember me, do you? Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with people who do not want me to have anything. They won't let me live. The last time I had suicidal ideations, they called the psychiatric team. They won't even let me die. This shit is wild, bro. Wild as hell. They like it. This is what happens when you get privilege you don't deserve. I keep saying it and I will keep it. I keep saying it. I will keep saying it. But there's something else I wanted to say. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Lord. And then there's all this bargaining that gang stalkers do because I'm not reacting in the way that they want. You see, again, it's not just them. There was also the Romanian family that lived across the way from me that used to spy on me through their laptop, and they used to fire electronic weapons to view the results. There was always this bargaining that they used to do with themselves that, you know, if she stops being calm, then I'll stop doing it. And it's literally the same story with every perp that I've met. If she stops being calm, then I'll stop being a cunt. If she stops being calm, then I'll stop harassing her. If she stops focusing on what she's doing and starts paying me attention, I'll stop doing it. I'll stop doing it. I'll stop doing it. This is what addicts do. This is what addicts do. Once I get this thing, I'll stop. Once I get this thing, I'll stop. Once I get this thing, I'll stop. It's literally an addict's mantra. It's the mantra of somebody with no emotional regulation. If I get what I want, I will stop. They get what they want, it doesn't stop. Addict's mantra, an absolute fucking lie. If they, you know, react in the way that I want them to react, if they give me some acknowledgement, I'll stop. They always get what they want and it never stops. The T.I.s that are truly going through worse than me right now. I mean, there are like other factors as to why my targeting is not that bad. Like family connection is one reason why it's not that bad, but there's also another factor. The other factor is that I won't shut up. I will not shut the fuck up, and I will not stop telling the truth. It doesn't matter what the situation is. I could be applying for benefits. I'm going to talk about gang stalking. I've been able to get premiums because I talked about the fucking gang stalking. Because it's either that or they admit that this thing's real and I'm not crazy. So I won't shut up. I will not shut up. And I will, you know, the reason why I don't get as much grief as I should do is because I don't give these motherfuckers what they want. And when they do get what they want, they pay for it. So they're never sure what to do. The only thing they can really do is throw me off with the timing. And that's all they can do. They can't do anything else but throw me off with timing. And even then, I'm so used to this shit. You know what I mean? And I keep bringing up stuff from like a decade ago and stuff like that because it's gang stalking. And if this shit doesn't end, then why shouldn't I bring it up? But I digress. It's an addict's mantra to reason with yourself that the second you get the acknowledgement that you want, you'll stop being a cunt. You're not going to stop being a cunt. You're a cunt. You're born a cunt. You're going to die a cunt. Doesn't matter what kind of reaction I give you. But again, gang stalkers like to bargain with themselves because of their addiction to cruelty and their addiction to hatred. But like I said before, one of the reasons why I'm not attacked as heavily as everyone else is because I won't shut up. There are T.I.s out there that couldn't say boo to a goose. Some of the most harmless people that you will ever know in your life. There is one woman who is let me pause. There is one T.I. who's been shot to shit. Her skin is peeling off like one of the worst cases of radiation anyone has ever seen. And all she has ever done is cry and be broken. A fucking perp had the nerve to sit in front of her. The main person burning her to shit had the nerve to sit in front of this woman tell her what he was doing and ask her to be friends with him. She turned the other cheek. There are people out there, there are T.I.s out there who are broken, who are in pain, who can't get out of bed in the morning. All they do is scream in agony. It's not enough for these cunts. Several people have been killed due to gang stalking, not just my mother. Several people have been killed due to gang stalking. Killed, murdered, and it wasn't enough. So how the fuck is me going online and writing about them going to give them everything that they fucking need? They will never be happy. And you know what? They don't deserve to be. They don't deserve to be. You mean to tell me you could use that powerful energy and those powerful entities for anything in the world and you're going to use it to be a prick? What a sad, pathetic life you lead. And then you want to threaten another cousin. And we're going to put a curse in your videos. And what, bitch? That curse is going to follow you throughout your entire fucking bloodline. Why do you think I didn't react? These things have consequences. Literally everything that I've done in my life, I'm watching it play out with younger relatives. Just like my mother and my father have had to watch some of their stories play out through me and my brother. It happens all the time. You put a curse on somebody and they don't deserve it and you are the problem, it follows you. It follows you. It follows your fucking bloodline. Think this shit is a fucking joke. And the thing is, you're out there thinking that I need to put a hex on your bloodline. You are the fucking hex. You're a gang stalker. You are the fucking hex. And the horrible part about this is it always affects the most innocent people in your bloodline without fail. You don't even care. So you're going to have decent people in your bloodline, kind people in your bloodline, suffering for your fucking sins. And I'm not even just talking about the hexes. I'm talking about the years of taunting. I'm talking about the disrespect, the racism, the fat phobia, the queer phobia, the fucking cyber trolling, getting everybody else to try to fucking come for me. The heavy-handed bullshit you do every single time your fucking feelings are hurt. Your bloodline is going to suffer for it. It is not a joke. And let's get something clear right now. There is nothing that I need to do. Not a goddamn thing. Those people who try to put curses on my reproductive system and my soul, their bloodline is going to get it. Their bloodline is going to get it. Trust and believe. And again, it's always the most innocent people that have to suffer for what they've done. So if they're trying to curse me to have children that die young, what do they think is going to happen to those poor fucking hell? That's why I'm getting angry. Because innocent people, because of those people and what they did to me, there are innocent people in their bloodline that have to suffer because of them. I'm so fucking pissed. I'm so fucking pissed. That's what pisses me off. More than anything. Why the fuck should innocent people suffer for you? Constantly. And children, innocent children, are going to suffer for you. Fuck you. On behalf of the people who are going to suffer because of your actions, on behalf of the people who have to cleanse your karma, fuck you. I never thought that would be the thing that got me heated. Heated. I never thought that would be the thing that got me heated. It's not even the things that have been done to me. It's just like people don't want to leave me alone and they think that it only affects me. And, you know, I can't even take pleasure in that. I can't even take pleasure in that because it's not going to be them that suffers. It's going to be innocent people. Fuck these jokers, man. Fuck them. Fuck them to hell. Hate all of them. Fuck those people. Fuck all these people, man. They don't deserve to live. They really don't. And I used to say that type of shit as a kid to people that, now that I think about it, might have been gang stalking me. So I wasn't even wrong. I used to say shit like that all the time, never realizing how serious that shit was and how accurate that shit was. Now, I'm not advising that these people do anything to themselves or anybody do anything to them. So get that out of your head right now. It's just that why should they be here? All they do is cause pain. Why should they be here? No violence, though. I'm not having it. Not in my name. No violence. I'm just getting my feelings out. Fuck, I hate these people with such a passion. And again, it's so weird because I really thought that I would be bothered about it because of me, but no. Fuck. All right. I gotta go now. Might upload my videos tonight. I don't know. Might upload them tomorrow. But if you're interested in your 12 signs, your signs are up on TikTok anyway. You can go and check them out. Oh, fucking hell. On that thoroughly depressing note, God save us. What the fuck happened? On that thoroughly depressing note, I'm gonna love you guys and leave you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye. And if you made it to this far in the video, go ahead and let me know. If you're a T.I, how you're doing. I always want to hear from you. Okay. Bye-bye.